Hey there, welcome to or back to the channel. We are back at Red Rocket Truck Stop today to continue work on the scrapyard I have in mind for this settlement. If interested, definitely go and check out part 1. This is about where we left off though. As I mentioned in the last video, I want to focus on a couple utility spots as well as just speak on some of the plans I have in mind for this settlement going forward. Obviously, I've spoken on the idea of making this a scrapyard of sorts. And what that entails is I want this to be like a trading and storage hub for a lot of the building materials and scrap items needed for building the settlements for the Minutemen specifically. As for the interior of this building, I'd like to keep most of it pretty much the same. This will still be a workshop, it's just going to be a much more interesting workshop. I'll leave that there for now. And then out here, I'd like to keep it as kind of like a way station or just trading kind of hub, which it's already set up perfectly for, with a lot of the workshop storage and stuff back here. And then this room is definitely screaming office, but it needs more. So I'm definitely going to do some rearranging and stuff in here. But like I said, I'd like to keep most of this pretty much as is. It's already pretty well set up for what I have in mind for here. With this build series, I'm going for as realistic and lore friendly as possible, so sometimes the more simple the better. The first thing I added utility wise was some water storage. I threw it next to this kind of storage warehouse over here. I also added this really cool garage door to the front of this warehouse. And to make the door appear even more functional, I added some chains and other little pieces from the Kuro Tab. Sometimes it's little things like these that add a lot of just practicality and really cool decoration to your settlement. And it's also really helpful because even though the door does technically function and close, it does not necessarily match the height of a warehouse door. And by that I mean I can't really close it. But aesthetic points always win in my book, so we're keeping it, and then we might tweak and add some more to it later. My next project was adding a little bit more to this kind of power setup I had going on this pre-existing truck. I basically layered the windmill and generator on top of it, but it felt just kind of thrown together, so I added some security fencing as well as some of this quarry fencing that I really like around it. I plan on using this quarry fencing a lot for this settlement. It looks super scrappy and super functional for a scrapyard itself. I really feel like these subtle additions, as well as some decoration once I get around to it, will really make this kind of power utility spot feel a lot more intentional and put together. While skimming through menus, I found these really cool metal shutters from the Kuro Tab, and they fit perfectly in these front windows here, so of course I had to add them. I really like how the smaller ones are even actually functional and open and close. I feel like these added a lot of depth to the front of this building here. Next on my list is adding some sort of bathroom. I thought about just recreating or adding some of the bathhouses and outhouses I had in my sanctuary build, since these, even though they are in different saves, are technically connected. I thought it would be cooler to build off of the building itself using the mod Snappy House Kit and making it look like there was always a bathroom here. The first thing I did was either scrap or move everything from where I planned on adding the bathroom to. I ended up keeping this hard hat specifically because it is great decoration and scrap for a scrapyard. Luckily, Snappy House Kit has a lot of individual building pieces from pretty much every building in this game you can think of. I use it all the time for either building repairs or add-ons like this. The first step was just planning a kind of layout with some walls of this edition, just to make sure something like this would even fit. So I started with a couple corner pieces and a doorway and just used place everywhere to kind of nestle them exactly where I wanted. And this was looking good for now. Obviously I'm going to have to do some adjustments to the interior once I end up liking it. The only thing I didn't like at this step were these huge pillars on these corner pieces that I decided on. So I ended up scrapping those, but luckily since I had everything kind of positioned where I wanted it, I was able to just scrap those corners and turn snapping back on and just snap in the pieces that I did decide to use. Then I just simply threw on some roofing pieces. Keep in mind that I do end up making some adjustments to this kind of add-on later. I really just wanted to get everything put together and make sure it looked alright and kind of fit into the building, if that makes sense. And once I added like some little cladding and decorations around, I ended up being really happy with this addition. It really almost looks like it was kind of already here to begin with, and I really can't wait to start decorating it and make it look even more fitting. Now we get to work on some signage, which is debatably my favorite thing. To make the backing of the sign itself, I used some patchwork wood pieces from CVC, specifically the wooden planks from this set. I use these for signs all the time, and now that I'm playing on PC, I can finally resize them and customize them a little bit more, which is super exciting. I pretty much just layered a few different sizes and versions of these planks until I had a sign I was pretty much happy with. I really like the addition of this kind of red one to add some color. I did have to size this one up quite a bit, but it ended up fitting perfect. For the lettering itself, I ended up going with these funky retro letters from the Kuro Tab. I thought they were a really good fit. This, like most of the sign decoration that I've done in the past, is honestly quite a grueling process. Especially if you're a little OCD like me, it takes a bit of time to kind of reposition and resize everything exactly how you want it. But once I finally got everything placed and put together, I really like how it came out. Next up, I wanted to add some lighting to the sign itself. I went through a ton of different options for this, but the ones I ended up settling on were these wall lights from CVC. What I especially liked about these is they didn't require any power, so they were definitely a win in that aspect, and they ended up being a really good fit in my opinion. For those that may be new around here, this is actually my first kind of dip into PC settlement building. So for fun, I'd love to share along some of the things that I'm learning with you guys, especially for some of you that may also be just kind of breaking into PC too. One trick I will be using the hell out of is the command spawn dupe. Say there's something like this trash pile, for example, that you wanted to build but it's not in your build menus. You can open up your commands, make sure that item is selected, type in spawn dupe, enter, and then exit out of the command, and there you have it. Now this could be way more useful for more interesting things other than trash piles, but you get the gist of why I'm so excited to even be able to use it as someone who's built on console for so long. As for the piles themselves, I plan on adding quite a few of them kind of scattered around these buildings up here. Right now these buildings just kind of look slapped onto a roof, which realistically they are. I just want them to kind of blend into the environment a little bit better. One other thing I started adding up here was some wiring. These wires are specifically a little bit more decorative than they are kind of functional power-wise. I plan on adding a bunch of these like individual cage lights to them to make it look like string lights going across the buildings. This will end up being quite the process, and it will probably not be recorded, which is why I wanted to mention it now, as I have to hand place them all and then kind of like rotate them and such too. That way they don't look super like structured and uniform, but it will look really cool in the long run. That's pretty much all of the main points I have to share for this video. I do want to go ahead and give you a sneak peek of some of the decoration work that I've been doing for the settlement, just to give you an idea of how this place is going to end up kind of looking. Just think kind of junk thrown everywhere. Over here by the power supply, I added this really cool pile from CVC. I really liked the utility pole on this piece, so I even used that and attached a little connector to the top of it. That way I could feed wiring straight from this power utility into the building itself. And as I mentioned before, I went ahead and made some adjustments to the roof of the bathrooms over here. To hide some of the clipping from the cladding on the building itself, I just kind of filled the whole roof in with trash to hide my sins, and it worked out pretty good. I even added some more water utility up to the top by these buildings up here. I found this cool rain collecting drum from the Kuro Tab, and it fit really well up here with these buildings. As of now, I am super happy with how this settlement is shaping up, and I can't wait to start decorating over on Twitch. So keep an eye out for any streams or any of the VODs posted. My Twitch will be in the description if you want to follow me over there. Also, a huge and special thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I cannot believe we've passed this milestone. I really do appreciate all of the kind words and feedback on these videos so far. Thank you so much for watching and your time, and I will of course see you guys in the next one.